It was a grey Thursday morning. The rain had poured all night, and the sky still wept in soft drizzles. The streets shimmered under the streetlights, reflecting puddles like little pools of memory. A young woman stood by the steps of a sleek office building in Manhattan, drenched but determined. Her name was Olivia Carson, 24 years old, recent graduate, and desperate to find a job after months of silence from recruiters. She wore a fitted beige blazer over a tight, dark olive U-shaped blouse, and a pair of black slacks clung to her long legs. Her chestnut brown hair curled from the rain, and her freckled cheeks carried a quiet fire. Her outfit was slightly wet, but she stood tall. There was no time to worry about appearances anymore. Inside the building, the front desk was quiet. The receptionist, Mr. Grant, a kind-eyed man in his 60s, looked up with a knowing smile as Olivia approached. "Morning," she said, breathless but hopeful. "I'm Olivia Carson. I'm here for the assistant interview." "With Mr. Donovan." Mr. Grant adjusted his glasses and nodded. "You're early. Good. You'll need that today." He handed her a visitor badge. 17th floor. "Good luck." The elevator doors closed behind Olivia, and she exhaled for the first time. The ascent felt eternal. Her eyes caught her reflection in the polished steel, wet hair, rain-speckled clothes, and nerves disguised as determination. The doors opened to a minimalist, glass-paneled hallway. The office at the end had frosted doors etched with a name, Mr. Adrian Donovan, Executive Director. Inside, the man himself sat behind a matte black desk. Adrian Donovan, early 30s, sharp-suited, brooding. His eyes were striking, pale blue and observant. He didn't stand when Olivia entered. He just studied her. "You're early," he said flatly. "Yes, sir." "I always prefer to be," Olivia replied, trying to steady her voice. He gestured to a seat. What followed was not an interview. It was a quiet dissection. "Tell me about failure," he asked suddenly. "Excuse me. I don't want to know what you're good at. I want to know what broke you." Olivia blinked, caught off guard, but then she answered. Her voice cracked as she told him about losing her father last year, about taking care of her younger brother while working night shifts, about being told she was too inexperienced every single time. Adrian sat back, silent. "You don't lie," he said after a moment. "I don't have time for lies anymore." He nodded. "You have 1 hour. You're hired temporarily. 1 task." Olivia's test wasn't paperwork. It wasn't emails. It was people. Adrian's day was filled with meetings, and Olivia had to manage every shifting schedule, deal with a client on Zoom, organize lunch orders for 12 executives, and print a presentation with a broken copier. As the minutes passed, something shifted. Staff started looking at her differently. Even Adrian's usual assistant whispered, "You're the first one he hasn't sent home in 10 minutes." By the end of the hour, Olivia's hands were ink-stained and her phone had 16 missed notifications. But she had done it all. Adrian opened his door. "Come in." By the time the clock struck noon, the rain had stopped. Sunlight began to push through the heavy clouds, painting the city skyline outside Adrian's window in pale gold. Inside, however, the air was still heavy, with tension, silence, and something else unspoken. Olivia stood before Adrian again, her posture straight, even though exhaustion clung to her limbs like lead. Her blouse, form-fitting and slightly rain-wrinkled, clung softly to her curves, but her expression was composed, focused, professional. Adrian didn't speak at first. He simply looked at her. For a moment too long. Then, breaking the silence, he asked, "Are you hungry?" It was not the question she expected. Yes, she replied truthfully, her stomach choosing that moment to growl ever so slightly. He stood up and walked past her, not waiting for her to follow. Confused, she trailed behind him into a small private lounge at the end of the corridor, an elegant space with large windows, a long marble table, and a simple but beautifully prepared lunch setup. 2 plates. 2 chairs. Sit, Adrian said, pulling out the chair for her. It was gentlemanly, unexpected. She sat, brushing back a damp strand of hair as he took the seat across from her. The food was modest: grilled vegetables, lemon chicken, a glass pitcher of cucumber water. They ate in silence at first. Until, "Why did you really come today?" Adrian asked quietly, not looking at her, but at the window beside her. Olivia set her fork down. The air between them felt warmer now. Not hostile, just raw. "I needed a job," she answered. Then after a beat, she added, "But more than that. I needed to believe that someone could still take a chance on me." That stopped him. He met her eyes again. His gaze softened, not in pity, but in understanding. "And what if no one does?" he asked. She didn't hesitate. "Then I keep walking. Until someone does. Or I build something myself." A long pause. Adrian leaned back in his chair, folding his arms. "You remind me of someone," he said, almost to himself. She tilted her head slightly. "Someone important?" He nodded slowly. "My sister." Olivia blinked, caught off guard. "Where is she now?" A beat of silence. "Gone. 10 years ago." The air thickened again, but differently this time. Olivia didn't push. But her expression changed just a little, into something gentler. She understood that this wasn't just a lunch. This was a quiet test. An invitation. A moment where masks were allowed to fall, even for a second. And they both took it. Ends with a lingering glance across the table. Not romantic, not yet. Just real. Human. A moment between 2 tired hearts that saw each other clearly for the first time. The echo of their quiet lunch followed Olivia back into the main office space. She walked slightly behind Adrian, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor. Something between them had shifted, but it hadn't fully settled yet. It hung between them like steam after rain, warm, unspoken, and uncertain. Adrian moved to his desk, opening his laptop again, but paused as he looked over Olivia's resume sitting on the corner. He picked it up, scanning the first page. Then, without looking up, "You listed 6 years of experience here. But your last verifiable role was 3 years ago." Olivia froze, standing across from him. "I know. I can explain." He finally looked up, expression unreadable. "Then do." Olivia took a slow breath. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her bag, but she didn't look away. 3 years ago, my father was diagnosed with a degenerative illness. I left my position to take care of him. I was his full-time caregiver until... She swallowed. Until he passed 2 months ago. Adrian's expression flickered. "And the other 2 years before that?" he asked, softer now. Olivia gave a small, bitter laugh. "You ever try to re-enter the workforce after leaving it for personal reasons, especially as a woman? Especially when your skill set isn't trending anymore?" She shook her head. "No one would hire me. So I took temp jobs. Data entry. Freelance gigs. Just to survive. But nothing stable enough to fill a line on a resume." Adrian's jaw tightened. He slowly folded the resume and set it down. "Why didn't you say that outright?" "Because I didn't want pity," she said. "And I didn't want to look like a risk." There was silence between them. Not cold, just heavy. Then Adrian stood and walked over to the window, hands in his pockets. The rain had returned, lightly tapping against the glass. "You know," he said without turning around, "my company is full of people with perfect resumes. Clean, linear careers. But sometimes, they're the ones who've never faced the world falling apart." Olivia looked at him, lips slightly parted. He turned back to her. There was something different in his expression now, not suspicion. Not caution. Respect. "Thank you for telling me the truth," he said quietly. "Most people don't." Olivia's throat tightened. "Most people don't ask." We ends with Adrian returning to his desk, not saying another word. He opens a new folder on his computer, types something, then gestures to the seat across from him. "Let's start over." And Olivia sits, this time, not as a stranger begging for a chance, but as a woman reclaiming her place in the world. The hum of the office had dulled as the rain fell steadily outside. Inside Adrian's office, it was just the two of them, no resume, no formalities, just Olivia, sitting with her hands folded neatly in her lap, and Adrian, tapping his keyboard with focus and intent. He finally turned the screen toward her. "This isn't the position you applied for," he said. Olivia leaned forward, puzzled. "Then what is it?" "Something better," he replied. "It's a special assistant role, working directly under me. High stakes. Strategy. Creativity. A lot of unpredictability. But it comes with full benefits, flexible hours, and mentorship." Olivia blinked. "But I came for an admin assistant job." "And you're overqualified," Adrian said flatly. "Even with the resume gaps. Your story proves more than experience ever could. You know how to fight. You know how to adapt. I need someone like that at my side." For a moment, Olivia didn't know what to say. Her mouth opened, then closed again. Her entire journey, the months of rejection, of questioning her worth, of wondering if she'd ever be seen again, suddenly collapsed into this singular moment. "Why me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Adrian's gaze didn't waver. "Because you didn't walk in here asking for pity. You walked in with courage, even if your knees were shaking." Olivia's eyes shimmered. But she swallowed the lump in her throat and nodded slowly. "Okay. Yes. I'll take it." Adrian smiled, just slightly, just enough. "Good. We start tomorrow." She stood up, dazed and blinking back tears. I don't have the right clothes," she murmured with a laugh. "Or a laptop. Or even a decent bag anymore." "You have your mind," he said. "Everything else can be sorted." As she stepped out of the office, the world looked different, not because the rain had stopped, but because the weight she carried was lighter. Not gone, but bearable. She paused near the reception, looking back through the glass wall of Adrian's office. He was already buried in his screen again. But he looked up, just once. And he smiled. It ends with Olivia stepping into the elevator, her reflection staring back at her in the mirrored doors. But for the first time in years, it looked like someone she recognized. The elevator doors slid closed with a quiet chime, enclosing Olivia in a gleaming metal box. The soft hum of descent echoed like a heartbeat, steady and surreal. She stared at her reflection in the mirrored walls, her damp hair curling around her cheeks, mascara slightly smudged, shirt still bearing the raindrop stains from earlier. And yet, something had changed. She stood straighter. Her shoulders, once slumped beneath the weight of rejection, now carried something else, hope. She reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, her hand lingering for a moment at her jawline, as if to say to herself, "You made it. You really made it." Cut to exterior, building lobby front steps. The doors opened, and she stepped out. The lobby was quiet now, lunchtime rush gone, the receptionist gone too. The building's security guard, an older man with a gentle smile, nodded to her. "First day?" he asked kindly. Olivia chuckled softly. "Kinda feels like my first day of everything." The word surprised even her. Outside, the rain had slowed to a mist. The pavement glistened, reflecting the city lights like a silver river. Cars rushed past. Umbrellas danced. But she stood still for a moment, letting the cool air brush her face. She looked up, her lips parting in a breath. It didn't smell like rain anymore. It smelled like beginning. Cut to Olivia walking. She began walking, not fast, not with urgency, but with presence. Every step was a sentence in a story that had almost ended in silence, but now was roaring back with purpose. As she passed the cafe window she had once stared into, she paused. Inside, a young girl sat at the corner table, head down, scribbling something in a notebook. She looked just like Olivia had looked just a few weeks ago. Unsure. Invisible. Small. Olivia watched her for a second. Then smiled. Because now, she wasn't that girl anymore. And maybe tomorrow, neither would she be. Sometimes we go looking for jobs, and find parts of ourselves we thought were lost forever. Sometimes we step into buildings expecting to be rejected, and instead find someone who sees what we buried deep inside. She didn't get the job she wanted. She got the one she needed. And more than that, she got herself back. Olivia walking into the foggy distance, the city alive around her, a faint glow of sun breaking through grey clouds. No umbrella. No baggage. Just her, walking into her new chapter. She began walking, not fast, not with urgency, but with presence. Every step was a sentence in a story that had almost ended in silence, but now was roaring back with purpose. As she passed the cafe window she had once stared into, she paused. Inside, a young girl sat at the corner table, head down, scribbling something in a notebook. She looked just like Olivia had looked just a few weeks ago. Unsure. Invisible. Small. Olivia watched her for a second. Then smiled. Because now, she wasn't that girl anymore. And maybe tomorrow, neither would she be. Sometimes we go looking for jobs, and find parts of ourselves we thought were lost forever. Sometimes we step into buildings expecting to be rejected, and instead find someone who sees what we buried deep inside. She didn't get the job she wanted. She got the one she needed. And more than that, she got herself back. Olivia walking into the foggy distance, the city alive around her, a faint glow of sun breaking through grey clouds. No umbrella. No baggage. Just her, walking into her new chapter.